Welcome back to the Quadcast, where four college students talk about life, relationships, family, all for you. I'm your host, MJ.
I'm Julie.
I'm Naya.
And I'm Carlo.
And today's topic is going to be a very controversial one, but it is what we don't like about Gen Z. And for those of you who don't know what Gen Z is, that's like kids born from 1997 to 2013. So I'm obviously a Gen Z.
We're all Gen Z here.
We're all Gen Z here. And I'll start us off with I don't like how we like the dating thing has been very popularized is like cheating and like um getting into deep fulfilling relationships. It's just basically just sex. Once you start it, have sex, it's the end of it. And I don't like it, but I don't know, it's popularized now.
Yeah, I think promiscuous like culture now is getting kind of out of hand, right? Because I mean, honestly, and like this is gonna sound like, oh my god, Carlo, you're such a boomer. But like, if you think about like literally one generation past, like before us, um, even up to millennials, actually right before millennials as well. Like a lot of people actually, it was the more normal thing to wait for marriage to have sex. I'm not saying it's a bad thing now to not wait till marriage, but it's kind of crazy how like the shift kind of happened with both the millennial generation and with Gen Z. So I don't know, like, how do you guys feel about that?
I think I don't know, my thoughts on this topic, I think like because of certain like things that millennials did and then like, they gave birth and stuff, they they didn't know like how to like familiarize our generation. Just for context, me and Carla are '04 babies and MJ and Julie are '05 babies. And like I think with our generation, um, it was one of those things where like parents didn't know how to tell us about like waiting. And I think we kind of just had to figure it out on our own kind of thing. And even though a lot more now, like people now are talking about like the dangers of like sex, um, I think when we were younger, we we obviously it's not the most appropriate to talk about like sex to young kids, but I think going into your teenage years, a lot of us, or for me, I didn't really get that the talk right from like your mom or your dad. Um, so for me personally, it was one of those things where it's like, oh, you just got to learn through your peers. What were you gonna say, Carlo?
I was gonna ask everybody, when did your parents actually bring up sex as a topic of conversation to you guys? Like, how old were you when you first talked about the birds and the bees with your parents?
It's like complicated for me because I've never had like a sit down talk with them. Like it's just like at a certain age, it was just like a mutual like understanding. Um, I think the first time like that word was spoken, it was like when I first started dating MJ, and my parents were like, um, he's like, no sex until you're in college. And I'm like, okay. Uh, but to touch back on what Naya was saying, like I was never taught really about like the true, like the whole spiel of like sex and relationships and all that. Like I was never like educated. I guess like sex ed, but like sex ed, like it didn't really like go into too much
Kind of
detail.
different with sex ed, right? Like
Yeah.
it told us what sex was. And I think kind of going back onto like what MJ was saying, I think sex is definitely one of those big reasons why. But I also think that like because we didn't really talk about sex much with our parents, we also like learned we didn't get to fully learn what true love was, kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
To answer Carlos' question, I had the talk and when I was in kindergarten, but that's because I don't know if you viewers watched one of our last videos, it's because I had a very different encounter with another student in kindergarten. So they overheard me talking about that with some of my friends. So
Were you bragging?
no, I was not bragging. They just asked me what I did with that girl and why I went away for recess. And I was like, oh, this is what happened. And then one of the parents, or no, one of the kids' parents was sitting next to me. And I guess he heard me talking about that. And then he snitched on me and told the parents or my parents.
Oh,
Because I remember we were just walking around.
Awesome.
mm-hmm.
Mom
I
just
love
like my mom was like, MJ, um, why are you talking about sex? And I was like, oh shoot.
Did you know
So
like what it was back then?
no, I was like, what happened was the girl asked me to do it. I didn't know what sex was. So I thought it was a game. And then yeah, we ended up having pretend. And then yeah, that was basically my talk.
I feel like we have to put this, and this I'm trying to be very careful with my words this podcast because this is a very touchy subject. Like, I feel like we have to do a good job with this podcast of being brutally honest about the ups and downs of our generation without fear of being controversial, if that makes sense. Like, one thing I was going to bring up, because there's some serious topics that we can like really dive into when it comes to like the promiscuity of our generation, and there's like a host of different causes, I think, of why this generation is very, very, very sexually awakened. You know what I mean? Um, one thing I was gonna bring up was like, and this would be diving into it really quickly, but like one thing I was gonna bring up was like the differences of the structure of most kids' families today compared to like 30 years ago. You know what I mean? Like this is something that I don't think too many people talk about, where, or maybe I could be wrong, but one thing that I think to take note of is like a lot of kids nowadays, it's not the most common thing to see a room full of kids and 15 out of the 20 kids in that room have a whole family where they have two parents that are still together and the kids, right? Like just in this podcast, we have Naya, and then Julie. I don't know what your situation was like too. What's your situation like?
I mean, they're together, but like they shouldn't be
Mm.
type of thing, you know. And I have a lot of sibling issues too, but my family's just kind of
Say that's a thing, right? Is like even for some of the families that like are put together now, like it's not common to see people whose families are like me and MJ's, where the parents have been together for a long, long, long time and are still together and are still happy. You know what I mean? But I don't know. What is your take on what like different causes of today's kids promiscuity? What do you think the different causes could be?
One of the things I think it's I don't know what the word you're using is, promiscuity. Is that right?
let them
But
cook, let them cook.
I think it's very popular because of what the media is pushing out to kids. and then what's getting popular and what's going viral on like TikTok, Instagram, all that stuff. Like models, you know, very like those type of people looking people really
Just
just
a like a
advertise. Sorry?
no. Sorry, I cut you off, but like just like a general outlook from like what social media has been advertising to like especially younger kids, like as from our generation, um, like what they have been showing and what they've been trying to push us to do, you know.
Exactly. Exactly
Kids
that.
have like a crazy amount of access to like so many different things that like we didn't have access to when we were kids. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy. Like so like for an example, like one of my so I have a part-time job where I work with elementary school kids in an after school program. And sometimes some of these like kids talk about like things that like I had zero clue about when I was their age. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, yeah.
sometimes they say some things and I'm like, whoa, how do you know about that kind of stuff? And it clicked in my head recently while working with these kids that like they just have access to everything. Like kids get phones, like smartphones
Oh my
at the
God.
age of like 3, 4, 5 nowadays.
Exactly.
They
I
get
wanted to touch on
TikTok
that.
at
Yeah.
like, bro, they get TikTok and YouTube at such a young age. Literally finding a prawn website is literally like 5 buttons away for them. You know what I mean? Versus with us, it wasn't something that was as easily accessible. You know what I mean? Like,
Well,
well, as accessible as it is for kids nowadays,
yeah,
like we
yeah,
didn't grow up with smartphones like straight away. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know about you
yeah,
guys, but I didn't get my first smartphone until I was like 11,
yeah.
maybe 12. And that was when the iPhone was finally starting to get like somewhat popular. You know what I mean?
No, yeah. Oh my God. I wanted to talk about that thing about phones and kids these days. Okay, not to say these days because oh my God, like I'm barely 18, but so many times where I just really don't like how parents are handling their kids these days, especially with like, oh, they hear the kids crying, they just give them a phone. Like I went to go get my hair done the other day and the salon lady has a kid and the kid was like crying and crying and being very like loud and like my job, I take care of kids at home. So this kid was like excessively crying. Like something was wrong. Something was clearly wrong. And what the mom did to do, like to shut him up, basically, was just to give him his phone. Like give him no, not his phone, but like the mom's phone. And there he is blasting TikTok audios. And I'm here just like, what an awesome salon experience. Just little kid blasting TikTok audios. But I think it's crazy that like I feel like I don't want to be mean by saying this, but like I just feel like what's going on? Like I just feel like it's not okay for the kids that age to just be like on the phone. If we already know the effects of social media to kids these days. Like what does that say about littler kids? That's not a word. Littler,
I think
smaller.
it's like
I'm done. I can't talk. I'm done.
Literally.
it's like like I feel like parents or just adults, millennials, Gen X, they saw what the internet has done to our generation, and you think they do a better job with this upcoming generation. Also, don't take my word for it, but Generation Alpha, right? Um, because I personally, I have a 4-year-old sister, um, and my my parents are actually really good about like maintaining like her like electronic time, uh and I think they're doing a really great job because I mean like me with technology, I was hooked, like because my dad, he had like one of the first iPads when I was like 5, but it was his iPad, right? And I'd only get to use it every now and then until I was about like maybe 8, and then it was technically considered mine, and I'd watch like silly YouTube videos on it, right? But like I totally understand what you're saying. I think that you'd think that they do a better job after seeing what internet exposure has done with our generation.
I don't think all the blame has to go towards the parents, though, because at the same
That
time
is true. Yeah.
you can't no matter how much you try and stop your own kids from doing certain things in the household, where are these kids spending a majority of their week? They're spending it at school. You know what I mean? And even schools nowadays, I feel like aren't doing a good job of limiting um certain topics from being talked about, um certain things from being viewed. I also, like, when you're talking to other kids your age who know about these things, you're going to get introduced to them. You know what I mean? Remember the Dare program when we were growing up about drugs and stuff, right? Like, I feel like those types of things need to happen. Like, those programs to prevent drugs, they need to take the same concept and apply it to promiscuity with today's generations. Like, circling all the way back to promiscuity, right? Like, going back to the media, like, no, yeah, like, one out of every, or I'd even argue to say like 4 out of every 10 TikTok videos is some girl just shaking her ass on on TikTok to some popular audio. Or like, you can't scroll on any social media nowadays without there being something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think the rise of like things like OnlyFans and like prawn and stuff like that, like, people are making a full income off of being promiscuous as well. And so, like, what does that do to young men and women who are growing up and they're having a hard time trying to figure out how they're going to make money in the world? A lot of them end up, also looking towards that avenue, those types of avenues as well. You know what I mean? Like, the popularity of being promiscuous nowadays is a big issue, because it's also causing a lot of broken families if you think about it too. You know what I mean? Like, accidental births are happening, where it's like there are kids that were unplanned that are happening because of promiscuous nature. And when you're having a one night stand and you get pregnant from that one night stand, what do you think that guy or that girl's gonna like? Do you think that guy is gonna want to stick around? Probably not, majority of the time, because you're just some girl that he hooked up with at some club. You know what I mean? And so it's like, I think it's also a big thing for kids nowadays to be aware of the types of situations they're putting themselves into. But I don't know. I think the media is a big thing to blame on it.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
I totally agree. Like, there's just so much. Oh, there's so many like young and impressionable teenagers that are just getting sucked into like idealizing and romanticizing like shows like Euphoria. I don't know if you guys have seen Euphoria, but oh my God, when Euphoria, the new season was coming out, everyone was trying to be like them, like romanticizing like drug addiction and being like broken and being like so messed up in the head, which is like, it's kind of sad to see how everyone wants to be so different that they will put themselves in these situations and they'll go to these extremes, and it's just like, it's not necessary. Like, they just don't see the consequences, like the long-term consequences, like you said. Like, it's just, I don't know, because I know a lot of people personally that just not, and it's not looking good for them. Yeah.
I think, not to stray away from like the topic of our generation, but I think, have you guys noticed that kids nowadays are looking so much older
Oh,
Yeah, they are.
than when we were growing up?
yes.
Like, the there was this the other day, like, I saw this. I was talking to this mom and her daughter, and I thought the daughter was like the same age as me or even a little bit older, but she was like 14. And I was like, what? That doesn't make sense. Like, 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds, like, just younger girls and boys that are looking a lot more mature than their age than when we were growing up. Like you'd think that like all these social media things would definitely partake in that influence. Maybe not like genetically, because that's a whole another topic, but definitely the way they dress is, when I was like 13, I couldn't be wearing a bunch of the stuff girls are wearing when they're 13 now.
I agree. I was wearing hoodies and sweats, like that's all it was.
I'd argue to say that I think a part of that also still has to do with the media nowadays, right? Where it's like kids are growing up seeing these people who are dressed a certain way or carrying themselves a certain way on the media, and they want to be like those people. You know what I mean? They want to look a certain way, they want to get attention from certain people. And so they strive to do the same types of things that these other people are doing. And I also want to preface all of my comments on promiscuity with saying I was also very, very, Naya can vouch for me here. I was very, very promiscuous. Pretty much all the way up until I met Naya. You know what I mean? And so like I know these things because I've been in the scene of one night stands and like, oh, what's your body count? And like, oh yeah, I'm taking this
Bruh.
girl out, yada yada yada, and like all these things, you know what I mean? Like I've been in that scene with like college parties and there's drinking involved and there's that whole scene. Like I've been firsthand there, you know what I mean? So it's like coming out of that and seeing the difference in the quality of my life now being in a happy, healthy, stable relationship compared to, you know, stupid one night stands and like situationships where I'm just like friends with benefits with people, you know what I mean? And it's like a purely like physically transactional type of relationship. Like you're never gonna get anywhere with those type of things, and it's never meaningful. And you almost, I feel like the reason why a lot of people like don't think or believe that love is dead or healthy relationships are dead, and the reason why the divorce rate is so high is because of things like what we're talking about. And it's sad to see because the amount of, I can count on, maybe two hands max, the amount of people that I personally know that are ages 18 to 25 who are in a healthy relationship and are engaged or married. You know what I mean?
I could name no
No,
one, actually. Sorry.
you're fine. I think I want to bounce off of this topic um about like, you know, how our generation handles like love, and I want to bring it to another step where it's like one thing I really don't like about our generation is how we try to be broken. You
Yeah.
know, like how we're always trying to, like, yes, mental health is definitely a big thing. If you are, in a mental place, go and talk to someone. But like I think there are a lot of kids our generation who try to put up a front or put up an act to, whether or not they're doing this consciously, like receive sympathy, you know?
Yeah, like people around that sort of topic, people are like romanticizing mental health and like being in a bad situation, either at home or like mentally. And it's like, what? Like, how deprived of attention are you? And it's just like sad to see, like, how we all grew up, like, I don't know, like, I don't know. It just says a lot about like our generation and how we were raised and how we're going to raise our kids, you know?
Because tonight will be the night
Bruh.
that I will fall for you.
Dude. MJ, what are your thoughts on what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, MJ.
Oh,
Come on, talk, MJ.
It's just you guys have so much good topics. Like, I don't want to
Hey,
interfere.
shout out to those people who have been telling us that MJ doesn't talk enough. We're gonna try to get MJ to talk more.
I'm actually the host.
We need
what
sound
did you
effects
guys-
in here.
What did you guys ask me?
Dog, it's still cooking. It's still cooking for him.
Bro, it's
Gotta
not marinating. It's not marinating.
Oh, it's the yeah. I do know
Like
a couple people where
frying pan
think-
is on the frying pan is on the stove, but the stove isn't on.
Oh
and the
my
meat's just
God.
there. It's not even seasoned. The steak is just on the frying pan.
It was
the
just
stove's
plopped
on.
on there. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's literally MJ's brain.
It's like he put food into the microwave, but he hasn't put in a time yet.
And
Y'all
he's just
hear this?
standing there. He's just standing there waiting for it to spin. He's like, why is
Y'all
it
hear
spinning?
this? I'm getting bullied, and we're talking about mental health. Like, how's this gonna affect me later? Anyway, what I was gonna say was that I do know a couple people that like are so they try to be different by saying like, oh yeah, I have this mental health issue. I suffer with this. Oh, this happened to me, so this is why I act like this. And this kind of brings me to another thing. It's like people are like, oh yeah, I act this way because this happened to me. And I'm like, well, you can't really blame that. Like maybe if it was recent, then I understand. Like, I'm sorry for your loss, that type of stuff. But if it's like 4 years, 3 years past, and you're still doing those same destructive behaviors, like now it just seems like you're just using that as like an scapegoat. You know what I mean?
Facts.
Wow.
You let it cook, guys.
See,
You gotta
It
marinate
cooked.
MJ, you actually have to turn the stove on in order for it's like he actually turned the knob on, but the thing wasn't plugged in the first place. And he was like,
Again,
"Oh wait,
I'm
there
getting
we go, we
bullied out
found
here
it."
again.
Boom.
If you're watching this, MJ, type in the comments.
Don't do that.
Hashtag stop bullying MJ.
It's just because I'm an easy target,
You're the class
Anyway.
clown, bro.
Class clown is yeah, I'm kidding.
No, but what you said is like really true though. Like
Yeah.
a lot of people like to like blame things that are like oh, it's because like my dog pissed on my carpet or like some
No.
and it's like yeah, that's why I cheated on you. It's because my dog pissed on my it's because my grandma died 4 years ago. Like you can't say that. You can't
Exactly. Oh my god.
like
That's
I can't
disgusting.
tell you how many times someone has said their grandma's died and that's why they're being a bitch to me.
My dog
If it's
pissed on your
recent.
carpet is crazy.
I couldn't think of anything.
I forgot to take my fish for a walk. That's why I cheated on you. I'm sorry. Like, bro.
I went bungee jumping without an actual bungee.
No.
Y'all want to go scuba diving without any oxygen?
I'll want to go skydiving without a parachute.
Y'all wanna
Nice one,
Move
Julie.
on from
Nice
this
one.
topic.
Nice one.
Yep.
yeah, y'all want
Y'all want to subscribe to the Quadcast and buy our merch?
Boom.
Oh,
For you. apparel.
ooh. Lovely.
I think another thing that we should probably touch on is, and there's so many different things that we could touch on, and I don't think we're going to be able to get through all of them in this one episode. But one thing that's super important to talk about. There's a couple different things I wanted to talk about because I think this could be interesting, and I think we could get a bunch of different perspectives. But the first one I wanted to talk about, and we kind of talked about this off camera in a little bit, but cancel culture.
Cancel. Wait, no. Oh, cancel culture.
dude, things are it's gonna get spicy in here.
I'm gonna start. I heard that Splash Mountain is getting canceled because of cancel
What?
culture. Like
What?
how I don't understand. I just saw it somewhere in the internet, and then people were like, I saw that the line was like 3-4 hours long because that was the last day. Just don't understand why, a roller coaster is getting canceled.
How
I don't know.
You know,
Are they-
I
I don't get it. I don't get it.
along that same topic, like along that same like idea, I recently watched this video. I believe it's fake, but like I saw this video where it's like math is racist because 2 plus 2, might not equal 4, because in the math realm, it's like, everything is inconsistent, or like like inconsistent. And so what if 2 plus 2 wants to equal 5? I was like, what?
What?
I think people just come up with some crazy things, or just they want to find everything that they can do to cancel it. Breathing is getting canceled right now because people that you breathe the same air as people who are racist. So you're
Bro,
canceled.
it's like even the rise of I feel like a straight man cannot exist in the media nowadays without being called a misogynist. And it's so sad to see. Like, it sucks because I feel like one thing that is talked about often, and this actually circles back to promiscuity, one of the main reasons why I feel, and then I'm super passionate about this too, is one of the reasons I feel as though promiscuity, especially in females and in males, I would say, it has gotten more and more prevalent in today's society, is because of the lack of a strong male figure in kids' lives. When you have a strong, mature, and protective male in your life, whether it be a father figure, mainly a father or a father figure, or a grandfather, who tells you these things are not good from firsthand experience, telling their son, don't do these things because I did this when I was your age, telling their daughter, be careful because guys out there are crazy, and yada, yada, yada. The lack of strong men in today's society is also causing a lot of kids to go and do these things. You know what I mean? Like, it sucks because it also leads to broken families when you don't have a strong man in the household. But I feel like another reason why there aren't any strong men in the household nowadays is because straight, strong men are being pushed down by the media and being pushed down by society because they're either misogynists, they hate women, or there's some sort of thing going on there. You know what I mean? I don't know. What is your guys' takes on this? We're diving into some touchy topics here.
Wow. That I've never even thought of it like that. I mean, because okay, it's fair to say like men have been upheld for years, decades. It's always been like men, women, and now it's like, now that these days, it's getting more common for equality, and like, we're starting to have these conversations more. But I feel like what you're talking about is like like the certain type of like, oh my god, political. Okay.
It's fine. It's fine. We were getting bound to dive into it at some
Okay.
point.
Like those, okay, feminists, awesome. We preach for equal rights, gender, like equal, not girls above boys. I'm, equal. We're all on the equal ground. We're all humans, but there's these certain people that are like, women above men, straight men suck. And it's like very common and very like stylish and quirky to say, oh yeah, men suck, I hate men, and like, you know what I mean? And that's like been so like reoccurring, and it's kind of like, I guess like sometimes it's like, without ill intent, but like it's more of like the fact that they're saying it, it's kind of like making it more common to say, and then hence everyone will start saying it. And it's like, what message is that putting out to people that don't know what that means or don't get the context behind saying, oh, men suck? And I don't know, it's just to impressionable people, it's just like,
I'm gonna say this, and I'm sure MJ would agree with me. Men do suck. We do suck. But guess what? Women suck too. Like,
yes,
both of
we
us
all
suck equally.
We all suck.
Like, we all suck. Just women suck
comments.
different things than men suck. You know what I mean?
Whoa. Hey, I mean, men could suck too. Men
Hey,
could suck
Men
that
can
too.
suck if they want to as well. I'm not saying they can't. They can suck the same thing that women suck if they want to. We're not homophobic here either.
Yo, type in the comments hashtag everyone sucks.
It's true. Everyone sucks. I mean, like,
Hashtag what do you suck?
what do you?
I'm just trying not to laugh.
Oh my god.
Hey, cancel me if you want. I don't care.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing about cancel culture is that it is grown off of negativity. It's
Mm.
grown off of fear
Mm.
of being put down.
Preach.
Ooh.
Um, and
Whoa, MJ's talking.
oh, MJ,
Oh
you
my
want
god.
to cook?
He made a noise. He made a noise.
MJ, do you want to put some insight onto what you think?
Yeah, I want to hear MJ's take on the whole men and women situation.
I don't know, man. We just kind of like cut off Naya. I was gonna go after Naya, but
Okay, Naya, finish your sentence. I'm so
Oh,
sorry. I'm so
sorry.
sorry.
My bad.
I'm
my bad.
not a misogynist. I don't mean to cut off the woman while she's talking. I'm sorry.
Ooh, don't cancel him, guys.
Hey, hashtag everyone sucks.
Everyone sucks.
No, but like, yeah, kind of what I was saying was like cancel culture is surrounded by negativity and it feeds off of negativity and hate, which is why groups such as like feminism and I know it's Pride Month and not to be homophobic, but like even in the LGBTQ community, I think there's just so much hate, and even in like there's so many communities that just are just fed off of hate, right? And so then you have, controversial subjects that are like, oh, this group hates this group and this group doesn't like this group, and like, oh, this person said this thing like 10 years ago, so we're going to hate on them and we're going to ruin their life kind of thing, right? And it sucks to see how our generation is so full of hate, right? Going back to the first topic that we were talking about, like, why can't our generation just like have healthy, positive like relationships? Because we're just so full of hate and negativity, right? And so it just, yeah, those are my thoughts on it. I think we should, I can say this, and I know, not a lot of things will happen, but I think our generation should stop being so hateful, and we should see things from a very logical perspective, but also, still keeping everyone's thoughts and opinions at heart without being so hateful, right? I don't know. What do you think, MJ?
Hashtag
I
Naya
agree.
is
I
the
agree.
best. Hashtag Naya
That
is
was
the
a
best
really big
host
thing.
of the Quadcast.
Yeah.
You guys, thank you. But the true host of the podcast is MJ. So
It's
let him
MJ
cook.
today.
At least today, yeah. Basically, what I'm about to say, I say, but I don't know if I can get my point across. But I think like the way or the reason why so much like people act so promiscuous is because of the absence of that strong father figure, like what Carla was saying earlier. But the reason why there's so little father figures is because of the promiscuity. Like a lot of the fathers don't stay because, they see how they don't want to commit because they don't want to hurt themselves. They put all of their, power, love, trust, all the stuff they want to find in a woman into someone. They don't want to like bargain it, I guess, into one woman. And if that blows up in their face, they're stuck from square one, basically.
If you think about it, those same men who are not becoming strong male figures because of promiscuity also didn't have strong male figures in their lives.
Oh my
You know what I
god,
mean?
it's a
Exactly.
paradox.
It's a whole loop, dude.
Very
It's a
vicious
whole loop.
that
Yeah.
only
I feel
we
like-
could break. I'm kidding. But
Imagine we are the generation.
Coach is right, guys. No.
Stop.
Hands in.
That's it, everyone.
Hashtag
Oh my
it starts with us.
Leave.
Guys, get your For You apparel in the link below and you can end cancel culture.
Yeah. But
And MJ's
tying
still
back,
frozen.
oh, but no, he's gone. But tying back to like what MJ was saying, um, about like father figures leaving and stuff. I don't think everyone is cut out to be a parent. And I feel like that's not talked about enough because society is like pressuring everyone to like grow up, raise kids, you know, keep it going, keep humanity going. But it's not the right fit for everyone. And I feel like it's not talked about enough. Like there's so many factors that can be considered. Either it's not the right time, you're not in the right headspace, you don't have the money for it, or you just, you have different goals in life. Like maybe you want to focus on yourself and like your work.
Yeah, I think bouncing off of your ideas, I think it's like because for me and Carlo, we were raised a little more traditionally, even though I did have split parents, but like we were raised pretty traditionally, and so the thought of, growing up and getting married and having kids is actually like really
Keep going.
Y'all, I'm gonna head out. I'm gonna head out now.
Bro, this is the problem with our generation. We can't stay serious for 2 seconds.
I need a Subway Surfers game playing right now. Where's my
Dog,
family
our-
clip?
Our ADHD levels, our generation's ADHD levels are out of
Bro,
control.
when I tell you I've been beating the hell out of this thing for the last week.
It all ties back because we are addicted to the videos we get. Because I watched a video on this. Because we get the little serotonin boost or whatever the word is.
Serotonin.
Serotonin.
Same. I
Dopamine.
don't care. Don't care.
It's a serotonin boost.
Yeah, you get the
Continue.
little boost, the endorphins pumping from
Bro,
like
aren't
little
you supposed to be a
going.
psychology major next year?
Me?
Weren't you gonna go into psychology?
I switched to business.
Oh,
But-
right.
Good.
Good.
I was gonna minor in psychology, but like
All right, guys, let
Um,
MJ cook.
You like minors? MJ.
Oh,
Shut up! Oh my God, let him cook. Let him cook, dog.
this is why I
The
don't
people-
cook on this podcast, guys.
The people want to
guys,
hear
guys.
MJ.
guys, this is gonna cancel him. When we dated at one point and he was 18, now 17.
Same thing
Yo.
happened with me and Naya.
Oh shoot.
Yo, guys are canceled right now. Guys are canceled. The guys canceled. This is just
Frick, man.
this is the duo cast. Me and Julie.
Yeah. We'll take over, guys. Thank you.
Look at MJ.
MJ, turn on your mic so the people can see what you were doing.
What I was doing
Yeah, come on, demonstrate again.
again. When Julie called me out, I just about to leave, right? But there's something. Oh, I just broke it. Oh shoot.
Your parents are gonna watch this later and they're gonna go see it. Look at that window.
They're gonna march up to your room and say, MJ, I knew it.
Oh, I was on a roll too.
You left the stove on though.
Oh, that reminds me. Okay. So we were getting like we get the boost rolling on TikTok, we get all that stuff, and then we get those same like adrenaline and stuff when we see other people. You know what I mean? Because they give us that same feeling, that same validation, which is why I think our generation keeps doing this destructive behaviors. Thank you. Thank you.
Do you want to get canceled? Didn't think so. So this episode is sponsored by us, actually. Wait. Sorry. Reset. It's because MJ stood up. He made me laugh. Stop making me laugh. Stop.
Nah,
Wait,
you gotta
okay.
keep going at this point.
Oh, fuck.
Bro, I'm
Okay.
literally muted.
Go to foryouapparel.patternbyetsy.com and use code QUAD10 for 10% off your order today. Again, that's foryouapparel.patternbyetsy.com and use promo code QUAD10 for 10% off your order. Now, back to your regularly scheduled programming. MJ, get your booty off the screen, please. Okay, bye.
I talked it now because I want it all. You want it all again. How did it end up like this? It was only a kiss. Everything in that. You recording this shit? Jealousy takes it to the sea. I don't know if you can tell. I'm a professional drummer, baby. Take that shit.
Oh my god. Yo, for the viewers, they're not gonna see any of that off time that we just had where we spent 20 minutes just talking off camera. So for them, it's just gonna be cancel culture, ad, and then just MJ playing the drums on
Playing
the
the
floor.
drums. Oh man.
Oh my god. Okay, so going back on topic, what are some other things that you guys don't like about today's generation? MJ, why don't you give us a topic, considering that you
Trying to
just
get situated.
brought us back in.
Welcome back, guys. Some things that I believe that we need to work on as a generation is in the sports world. That's a different one. It's just like I feel like the mannerisms that we give, like a lot of us, are very rude. I'm not saying I'm one of them. I pride myself on being very well spoken, very good manners type of stuff because I was raised like that. But I know there's a lot of people out there that are like, you hold the door open for them, they don't say thank you or something like that. Just like very little things that just really reflect the generation. Like you're walking and someone's talking to you and you're just like this the whole time.
Oh my god, that's a big one. That's a big one.
Yo, I have to
It's
tell
like
some of my
small,
friends
like,
sometimes, like,
things.
get the hell off your phone, bro.
One of my biggest pet peeves when me and Carlo first started dating was that, like, say we'd have dinner and like he'd be eating and like he'd be on his phone at the same time. Cause I was raised like during dinner time, you put away your phone, right? So you can engage in like social conversation. But like this man would have his phone out watching a YouTube video, and I'm like, can we have a conversation, please? Can we talk?
MJ, do you want to give your take on this? Oh, okay, never mind. No, I think another part of that is like, I don't know about you guys, if your family was like this too. I didn't always eat at the dinner table like with my entire family for dinner.
Yeah,
like everyone
me
would just kind of
too.
grab their food and then go eat on their own.
Yep.
So I kind of got used to like just being on my phone while I was eating, but that's not a good thing. It's not a good thing.
I feel like there's like those that were raised with like, oh, like good like table manners, and then there's people that were like, there was just not much of like dinner time with the family type of thing. Yeah, like Carlo, me too. Like we just like, if food was ready, we all just get our plates and just go eat in our room, because a big thing in my family is like the silent treatment is such a big thing in my family. We will ignore each other for years, literally years. And we all just got used to like doing our own thing. So it's just, yeah. It's sometimes like the phone is like the only thing you have to occupy when you're just eating alone. I don't know.
MJ, were you a eat with the family kind of guy, or were you a eat by yourself kind of guy during dinner?
My mom really did try to have us like all eat at the same time. And whenever we did, it was really fun. But there would be times where like I would come home late from practice, or me, my dad, and my brother. So we'd either just eat together, or my brother will eat in his room. I'll eat at the dinner table. we all would like separate, but not like too far apart, you know? Because I guess since we grew up just always eating together, we kind of do still do that. But yeah, I'm a little bit different from you guys on that.
I think it's also maybe a thing for like me and MJ where like because we were student athletes that also like played a part in it as well, where like schedules didn't always line up with everyone in the family. You know what I mean? And also me and MJ did travel and well, MJ still does travel a lot for tournaments and stuff like that. Like we would go outer islands here in Hawaii. We'd go to other islands pretty often. What's one thing I'm still mad about, MJ?
What's up?
That me and you never won a doubles tournament together.
I don't think we ever played together, right?
We might have played once or twice. Did we not? Oh, maybe we didn't.
We
You're always
never
playing with your
did.
brother.
Yeah, I still do. I still play
Yeah.
with AJ.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, we should have played. It's okay.
It's okay. We'll play a what's the name? An adult tournament together when we move out to the mainland someday.
Yes, sir, bro. Hit me up. We'll play one. Is there any other topics that you guys want to discuss that you don't like about Gen Z kids or people?
What a good host.
Hmm?
Sorry. What a good host. You're finally asking questions.
Yeah, no one's answering them.
I have an answer. We kind of briefly like talked about this earlier, but because you were talking about like the bursts of serotonin when watching like TikTok videos or reels, right? And we were talking about ADHD. And I think this is kind of answers in itself, but like the internet has definitely made our generation a lot more like ADHD, right? Or like signs of ADHD.
Like
And
attention
we just
spans.
Like
yeah,
shorter
we
attention
just
spans.
can't sit still for we just can't sit still for a certain period of time without doing something, right?
Oh,
Like
look,
Carlo's
Carlo.
always on
Look at
his
Carlo.
Carly, you gotta make a noise so it goes back on you.
A little louder for the crowd.
I like fidget cubes. They help me focus.
There you go, guys.
And
There you have it.
little confession behind the scenes when they're all talking, I do be fidgeting with everything.
You don't
And
say.
well, it's because our viewers can't see it, but you three can. But yeah, I think that's also because that's our generation. We're not used to having long attention spans. We're not used to reading, chapters of books. We'll probably read like a page and then search like for the summary or something for book reports. Or we'll use like Chat GPT for our answers. We'll use calculators instead of doing actual math. That's another thing that I don't like about our generation, how we find so many little, I don't know the word.
like loopholes.
Yeah, loopholes,
Shortcuts.
shortcuts to our main problems. And that isn't gonna get us far in life.
Oh, you know what? I saw this meme that, oh, whoa, I hope I didn't flash my credit card. Whoa. I saw this meme the other day where it's like Gen Z when they become nurses and like they ask them the nurse a question, they're like, I don't know, and then they Google it. I feel like that says a lot. Like I don't know. I saw like a TikTok about it the other day, but that just really relates to like what MJ said. Like we just be abusing the internet when it comes to like school and academics. Like, I mean, I feel like it's important to be at least like genuine and try a little at school to learn something, and there's like importance in a trial and error process for your brain, because that's how your brain actually like absorbs that information. What is going on here?
MJ shaking his head, disagreeing.
Oh,
I was nodding my head. I was agreeing. You know,
oh,
a
do you
lot
have
of
something to
people.
say? You have something to say?
No, I'm gonna piggyback on what you're saying. Actually, you kind of piggyback on what I was saying, but
Yeah, so are you piggybacking on my piggyback?
I think we should switch to another topic.
Carlo is just flexing his money now.
These are fake bills, but here, take it.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
No, but like going back on what Naya was saying about people like on their phone, oh, it makes me so mad. Like even my mom does it. Like I'm just like, Mom, like, can I go out with MJ? And she's like, permíteme, which means like, hold on a second in Spanish. And I'm just, please. And even when I'm talking to my friends about something, it'll go over the head what I'm saying to them, like as if they can only focus on one thing at a time and they just choose to focus on their phone. And I'm talking to them face to face and I'm like, dude, that is so disrespectful. Like, I'm here, we're hanging out, I'm in your company. Like, why are you on your phone? Like, come on, let's have a conversation. Like, I don't know. I feel like people need to just like detach themselves from their phone and just be in the moment and absorb nature. I feel like we all need to just stop being so like hooked on the phone. I don't mean to be that person that's like we're all brainwashed, but like I feel like we all just need to.
No, yeah, I think our generation has definitely like developed FOMO, fear of missing out, because of our
Yeah.
phones. We want to know what's happening all the time, any time of day. You know, that's what Instagram is for, right? To see what everyone is up to at any part of the day. We don't want to be missing out on the next big thing, right? But yeah, it's definitely one of my pet peeves. Even though like I don't want to be a hypocrite, I do it sometimes as myself as well. I'm on my phone and I'm not paying attention to when someone's talking to me. But like, and I shouldn't be saying that, but it is a pet peeve. And I am definitely a lot more aware of when I am doing it and when I should be focusing on like the conversation at hand rather than being on my phone. Right.
Sorry, it's because MJ's frozen. Oh no. He just texted y'all. I just lagged out. Wait, to those of you that can't see, wait. That's so funny. But yeah, I agree.
Well, while we're waiting for MJ to get back, Carlo, I know you're a little more like fidgety with everything than like I am. So what are your thoughts on this?
I think my fidgety or my fidgetiness, is that a word? My ADHD, my symptoms of ADHD
Your attention
stem
span?
yeah, my attention span, I guess you could say. It stems, and I was just literally thinking about this as you guys were talking about it. Um, I think it stems from overthinking a lot. I feel like my brain is constantly turned on and constantly analyzing the situation in front of me. Because one thing the viewers, and I think Julie, you'll also come to know about me, is that I am almost like a security camera where I'm like, my face is always doing this. And I'm just constantly like surveying what's happening in front of me. Um, and so that, when you're constantly thinking, I think it also tends to make you a little bit more anxious. I have dealt with anxiety, I think, as well throughout certain periods of my life. But again, it stems from the way my brain works. I don't know if any of the viewers can relate to this, but like and I think this also goes for a lot of people out there. It's like my greatest strength is my brain, but my greatest weakness is also my brain. You know what I mean? Where it can get me into a lot of good situations, and it can also get me into a lot of bad situations. why don't we talk about that a little bit more? Like, what is your relationship to this is also going to be a slightly touchier subject, but what is your relationship to like overthinking and dealing with being more present in the moment and less anxious as opposed to being centered, grounded, and like here with the people in front of you?
I mean, I think me as a person, I'm not really as anxious about like much. I'm more of like a present type of person. I like to live in the moment and absorb. And I feel like the way that affects my thinking is just like it's a lot more stress free. And I just had a brain fire. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna pass it over to Naya. I'm gonna let this marinate. I'm gonna let this marinate.
Um, not gonna lie, because MJ left, I think all of us are trying to get him back on. How's it?
Sorry for the weird pause, everybody. We were having some technical difficulties, but MJ has something that he also wanted to bring to the table as far as what he wanted to talk about.
Yeah, before the technical difficulties, I was gonna say that like one thing that I don't like about another thing that I don't like about our generation is like how our generation just is very judgmental. And if you do something just a little out of the ordinary, someone's gonna record you, put you on blast on the internet, and then before you know it, you're gonna be a meme or something like that. And I don't know, I just don't like that. How it like
Yeah,
one of the things like how the overly affectionate couple. I don't know. I feel like it's not a thing because like it's between them two, those two people, not the whole world to see. So that's just
Like
like one
PDA.
example. Not PDA, but like I mean I guess, but like when they get like put on blast.
Oh,
yeah, I can definitely vouch for that. They're definitely, I remember like even at our school, and I was very like vocal about when this happened too, about my disdain for when this happened. But even at our school, we had at one point in time during COVID, there was this like you remember when there was those websites that you could send like anonymous notes into? And there was this
yeah.
one where it was like Roosevelt, like we went to Roosevelt High School, and there was like it was like Roosevelt hot takes or something like that, or like Roosevelt tea. And it was basically just a bunch of people sending in anonymous notes about like different people and talking shit. And obviously me being promiscuous guy back then, my name was on there a little bit. So yeah, I mean like this generation definitely is a little bit more comfortable with putting others down. And it definitely sucks because cyberbullying now is such a big issue. Like I don't think in-person bullying is as bad as of an issue as it used to be, but cyberbullying now is such a big issue. I know so many people who really were left with like a deep scar because of those types of things, you know? Did you guys ever have any encounters with cyberbullying?
Definitely. There's so many Twitter arguments I have gotten into and TikTok arguments in the comments or like there was a point in time where when I first moved to Otay Ranch High School my junior year, I posted TikToks and I was made fun of it a lot, not to my face, but in the comment sections. And people would say like, "Oh my God, this girl goes to my school. She's so weird." But like no one would say it to my face. And it's just like it's way worse when it's online because it gets to you in the way where it's like all in your head because like no one's actually saying it to you, but it's like you'll always keep that in the back of your head when you're interacting with people or like if they comment anything about your appearance, you'll like, oh, you'll kind of just like refrain from like going back to being confident, or just stuff like that. And it's just way more in your head, and um people do get hurt by cyberbullying a lot more than bullying in person, I think.
For me, probably because I was very, very shy and not well known, like kid in school. I was never really picked or made fun of. Um, but I definitely understand what you're saying, where like people leave their digital footprints on the internet, and you know, when people bully you like in person, it definitely affects you, but it happens then and there. Whereas, like, if they tell you something online, it's online for you to see whenever and wherever. And so that just leaves an imprint in your head, and you're like, oh, maybe I should do something differently about this because people won't see me like this, kind of thing. Right?
Exactly.
And it's like not only you seeing it, it's like everyone else that like that thing would pop up for. Everyone else would see that comment or like, something like that.
I think another thing is like bandwagoning is such a big thing now, where it's like the second that something becomes like someone will say something about you, and then everyone will just immediately, because they want to seem cool, they'll like jump on and they'll be like, yeah, I know this person does do this, or this person is like this, or yada yada yada. And
Yup,
Yeah.
when really you
yup.
don't actually agree with those people, you just want attention. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And it's like it sucks for the individual that's receiving it. And I'm genuinely scared for kids nowadays, because even more so now, I feel like people are even more sensitive now than they were even for like us. You know what I mean? Like I'm worried about the kids who are in middle school right now when they go to high school and they have to deal with the exact same thing. They aren't as, from what I've seen, they aren't as mentally tough. And so I'm scared that they won't be able to handle it, and their mental health and their lives will suffer as a result of it, you know?
Yeah. I was one of those kids that could not handle it. I know people from my old school will be listening to this podcast just to see how bad I'm doing, because my old school was pretty tough. It was a small school, 300 people total. A high school, by the way. Yeah. So things spread fairly quickly. And once something was said about you, it was very hard to vouch for yourself. Like something will happen in one room at the school and it'll already be like known by the end of the day, like without question. Um, Freshman year, a lot of bad things was spread about me, misinformation. Till this day, my name is still in people's mouths. I will not be disclosing any information about that. But it was so bad that I stopped attending school entirely. Even before the pandemic, I stopped going. My mental health got really bad. I didn't even see a point in like continuing and pursuing my education. I just wanted to stay home. Um, then the pandemic hit, and that just got worse because I was like, now it's like all online, and like seeing everyone like say those things about me now, it's like that was my only reality because I couldn't really leave home. So it was just a whole whoa. So that's kind of just a little bit about why I moved schools. Because I was in that school since kindergarten. So I was with those people since I was 5, 4, and it's just very toxic to just grow up with those people and have them witness every single one of your mistakes. And it's just the thing about this generation is they won't forgive you. They won't forgive your mistakes. And that ties into cancel culture. Like people make mistakes. We're human. I don't think people realize that what matters most is that we realize, accept, and improve when it comes to just messing up. But that's just my take.
Yeah, no, like I definitely went through that same thing too, where it's like even now, me and I have been together for 2.5 years. And I guarantee there are people who still are thinking like, oh, Carlo's gonna break her heart. Or like, even if we get married, people are gonna be like, oh no, yeah, no, I bet Carlo treats her really badly, or yada yada yada. And to their credit, I wasn't the best boyfriend to certain partners that I've had in the past, but people definitely aren't forgiving as much nowadays. I think they tend to hold you to the same standard that they knew you of um in years prior. And it sucks to see because people grow and they change and they become completely different people. Um and they're still held to the same standard that they were before. You know what I mean? They're still held to the same expectations that they were before, in the sense of like, people think that they're little. You know what I mean? People think that certain people never change. People change every day. You know what I mean? I know people who have gone from being the best people to going to the worst people, and people who have gone from being the worst people with the worst type of lives and being, really toxic to being really genuine, amazing people now. I mean, I can count on, you know, I know several dozens and dozens of people who have turned their lives around, and they still get shit for things they did back in middle school. You know what I mean? Like, it sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks. Definitely sucks. Like, MJ, I don't know if you can relate to this too, but like we talked about in a prior episode how me and you kind of related in the sense that we were lover boys because our parents were have been together for so long, right? And so we ended up seeking that love in relationships with people, obviously our age. How did that affect people's perspective of you?
Um, I guess like it just made me really self-conscious of how I treat people and how I wanted to be presented to others. And I guess nothing too bad, like not too bad as in like the extent of what happened to Julie, and like bad what happened. I don't know if anything bad happened to you too either, like Carlo and I, but nothing too bad happened to me. So
But it still affected you.
yeah, I guess like there's some times when I would want to like do something, but then I'd have to like hold myself down, like hide it, I guess. But I don't know. I guess I hung out with like I knew when to cut people off, and I knew when it was time to like seek other friends, and then surround myself with a better group of people who believed in me, who'd made me feel, really good about myself. And then people who would like not be afraid to tell me the truth. And that's another thing about our generation. They can't handle criticism.
Damn, preach.
My bad. It's just, yeah. I just noticed, like, yeah.
I was gonna say a similar thing where it's like you can't say anything nowadays without someone getting offended or without someone getting mad at you about anything. You know what I mean? And it's sad because we live in America, not to be all patriotic and stuff, but like we live in America. The whole thing is America. You know what I mean? We're the whole thing is freedom of speech. You know what I mean? And it feels like we're getting more and more censored every single day, to the point where I feel like as a person I have become more and more quiet, not because I'm naturally a introverted person, but more so just because I'm afraid of how certain people are going to respond to the way that I say things. Because I'm a blunt person. Like, I'm a very blunt person. Anybody who knows me knows that. Like, I call it straight. You know what I mean? If I don't like something you're doing, I'm going to tell you. And if I think something you're doing is not right, in the context of the situation that we're in, then I'm also going to tell you. You know what I mean? And sometimes people just can't take that.
Preach. You tell him, Carlo. Sorry, I don't know what that was. I don't know. For those of you that don't know, it's 12:53 a.m. for me. I am
It's 12:53 right now. Hold up. Damn.
I'm running off of water and Pen Express, but that's so true. It's you're seen as like whoa, chill out, dude. You know what I mean? Like you're seen as like that type of like, oh my God, like he can't take a joke, like whoa, like chill out, like oh. But it's like, dude, someone's got to say it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Preach.
Did you
I
want to add
think
to that, Naya? Oh,
sure.
Oh.
Damn.
Oh, just be quiet, MJ. Just be
Damn. Thanks for trying to be a good host though. I really appreciate that.
preach.
Um, I think from a different like perspective of like criticism or taking criticism, kind of like how I mentioned earlier, like I was never really picked on or like, called at, because I was just a very quiet and shy girl who I guess I I'm gonna be very honest, I was a people pleaser. So I like to help everyone out kind of thing, but in a genuine way, right? Um and so for me, like I never really cared about what other people said about me. Like even if they were saying something behind my back and I didn't know, I didn't care. I just kept going along with my day. And I think a lot of kids like today, even though there are like many expectations, like other like exceptions to like what people have gone through, right? But I think there are a lot of kids in our generation who, like you said, they can't handle certain things because they're so focused on like these external realities when really they should be focusing on themselves and moving forward, because the way that I was raised, having to go through, I mean, we'll definitely talk about this on a later episode, but having to go through constant change, I had to be very flexible and very adaptable. So I just kept moving forward and pushing on. And I think, for the viewers out there, like if you're listening to this, um, try taking a different perspective and like instead of constantly criticizing yourself because of what other people say, look at yourself and criticize yourself because you see yourself that way and change that, right? I don't know, some thoughts, a little different perspective.
You're so inspirational.
Yeah, I
I'm
think one thing
enlightened.
that people nowadays really don't do is take accountability for their actions in the sense of like, or just they don't like to take accountability for their lives. They're constantly blaming things on their external reality and they're constantly blaming things on like, oh, it's my circumstance this or my environment this. When it all starts with you. And I'm gonna get kind of philosophical here, but like in reality, everything is in your control, right? Like
That's true.
not
That's true.
when I say that, I don't mean like, oh, or focus on the things that only you can control, right? And a lot of times it's accepting the fact that everything is your fault. Having that mindset of like everything is your fault, it kind of makes things easier. Like, oh, why are these people saying this thing about me? Maybe I am annoying. Maybe I am doing this thing and take that into account instead of just being like, oh, people are being mean and like yada, yada, yada. You know what I mean? Or like, if you're having a hard time being able to do well in certain aspects of your life, don't blame the circumstance, blame yourself. Like, do something about it. Take accountability for your actions, work hard and stop being so freaking lazy. That's another thing I don't like about today's generation. We're all so freaking lazy, bro. Like, when you think about like, I'm gonna sound like such a boomer, but like when you think about like our parents and how much work they put in to give us the lives that we did, how much work are we putting into making sure that our kids have the kind of lives that we want them to have? Like, that's the whole point of For You, is like, me and Naya started For You with the idea of like, we do everything that we do for each other and for our future kids and our future family. Right. And so, I mean, like, and this is mainly centered around people who are a little bit more family oriented and want to have kids and a family one day. But like, ask yourself, like, are you really the type of person right now, or are you on the right path to being a good husband, a good wife, a good partner, a good parent, like a good employee, a good business owner? Like, are you on the right path to being that, the type of person that you want to be? And if you're not, then you have some serious reconstructing to do in your own life. You know what I mean? Stop blaming society and like everything. Like, it all starts with you, dude. It starts with you. Like, as much as we've talked shit about society this entire podcast, I think at the end of the day, as cheesy as it sounds, it does start with you. It starts with you making an impact in your local community, changing things when it comes to yourself and trying to become a better person. I am a self-improvement junkie, and I constantly am thinking about what type of man do I have to be in order to provide my future family with the life that they want and the life that they're getting, the type of life that I didn't receive growing up. You know what I mean? How can I be a good parent? How can I be a good partner to them? How can I be the best person at my job? You know what I mean? Like, how can I constantly take accountability for my circumstances?
Wow. I mean,
Yo, he
yeah,
cooked.
he cooks.
That was
He
fire.
cooks. I feel like that's a valid way to look at things. And it's not to undermine people that struggle with like depression and stuff, because I'm diagnosed. I have depression. That's for sure. I take meds for it and everything. And something my therapist always tells me is like, it does start with you. Like, I know like right now it's a little harder for me because I am diagnosed with depression, but it really is all a mindset. Like, um, as someone that has like suffered with this for years, I do kind of think myself into that deep hole. I think my way into these like this downward spiral, and yeah, I choose to think that way. So I have an option, but it's just, oh, I mean, I guess for me, I find comfort in that sadness, but that's a whole other thing. But um I agree with you with what you're saying. It all starts with you. Oh, For You. Oh, it's all the dots are for you. Oh my God. For
Coincidence?
you.
I think not. That was
Guys, it's
fire.
official.
You guys cooked. You guys literally, that was sick.
Medium rare.
Bouncing off of that,
Um,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say something completely like stupid. Go on.
No, I mean, like, bouncing off of that, like, again, not to take anything from people who struggle with mental health. I think I'm gonna, for my own sake and my own mental health as well, I am going to be more vocal about the fact that I do struggle with things like anxiety and overthinking. I think it's also super important that I'm very vocal about, like, I'm not just this big, strong dude with strong opinions. Like, I struggle with stuff too. You know what I mean? But the difference between me and some other people that I've met and encountered in my own life is that, like, when I'm going through these times in my life where I'm feeling that way, I'm not just sitting around and being like, okay, I'm gonna let the world eat me and I'm gonna just, sink into my bed and do nothing. You know what I mean? And it's easy to fall into that. But at the same time, you owe it to yourself and you owe it to your future to get up, get out of bed, put on some clothes, go to work, go to school, and do the things that you're supposed to do. You know what I mean? Like, I think we like to take the easy way out as Gen Zers. And I think we like to, like we said earlier, take shortcuts and look for loopholes. And what's the number one way to escape the harsh realities of the world? To hide from it and to stay at home and just do nothing about it. But really, the only way to overcome the harsh realities of the world is to step into the world and fight it. You know what I mean? So I guess my final message of the podcast that I want to preach out to anybody who's listening to this, who's struggling or is going through something like that. This is going to sound super harsh, but get the off of your ass and go do something about it, because you deserve a life that's better than the one that you currently have. So stop sitting around, stop laying down in bed and doing nothing, and go actually strive for the life that you want.
Can we give a round of applause to that amazing, amazing speech? I think this is a great place, to kind of wrap up everything. Anyone want to give in some last thoughts? Like,
Carlo ate that.
Thank
For
you,
real.
Julie. Thank you.
MJ, I forgot you were here. Why aren't you talking?
Y'all are doing such a good job. Like, I feel like since I'm the host, I don't want to interfere with all y'all's amazing connections. But as the host, I do want to say thank you guys for listening. And is there anything else we want to bestow upon them?
Bestow is crazy.
I think on a more positive note, kind of just to leave the viewers with a little bit of a cliffhanger, but me and Carlo are engaged, and you know what?
Show the ring. Show the ring.
I'm gonna leave it at that. So we can discuss this in
Yes.
next week's episode. Thank you guys for watching this week's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed today's topics. And let us know what you want to hear, like in the comments, right? We want to hear what you guys want us to talk about. And be sure to like, subscribe, and get your For You apparel in the link below.
Yes,
Stay tuned till
sir.
next week.
Look at these. Come on now.
Yes, stay tuned till next week. And remember, we do it for you.